بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
আসসালামু আলাইকুম রহমতুল্লাহ। সম্মানিত ভাই বোনেরা, আপনার সবাইকে স্বাগত জানাচ্ছি ইউথ আওয়ার থেকে। আমার নাম ইসহাক and welcome. Our topic today is our youths are helping humanity. We get to hear our parents keep saying, my son is lazy, doesn't do anything, or complain he's in drugs or this. But we don't get to many people saying our young people are also contributing to the world as well. And today, alhamdulillah, I'm so happy to have our brothers here. On my right, we have Shahid Bhai. Introduce yourself to our viewers, please.
Introduce myself? Wow, that's a big job. Yeah, assalamu alaikum, I'm Khairul Shahid.
Is that all?
Simple
Right.
is better.
Brother Jain, yourself.
Assalamu alaikum, I'll follow suit to Khairul Bhai. My name is Zain Mia.
Then, yeah, mashallah.
Keep it simple as
You don't want to
Khairul
give
Bhai.
your long things you don't okay. On my left, Brother Anam.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Anam. I'm just following
Everyone's
suit.
just gonna follow suit
Everyone's going
now.
to follow suit now. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Amin Habib. And
Mashallah.
yeah, I'm a student.
What do you do? What are you studying?
I'm studying medicine.
Oh, medicine, mashallah. Anam, what are you doing? Are you studying or you working?
I'm studying as well, so I'm studying medicine as well.
Oh no, you
Yeah.
got some problem here, man.
You got talented people here today.
You know, you could hear by our topics some negative news and some positive news as well. We get to hear our mothers and the father complain our kids not doing enough. They're not wrong in one cases. Actually, that's true though. If you look around the world, we have Muslims are the most refugees at the moment. Muslims are the ones who don't have jobs at the moment. They don't do good in education at the moment. I'm talking about youth mainly around the world. Why do you think is the case? Why is us in the front line in everything?
Me?
Shahid Bhai, yeah.
Okay. It's interesting you said that. The other day I was watching another channel. Few mothers, they call saying the children don't listen to the mothers. That's another issue as well. That when they're calling, when they're saying don't go out, or you go and come 10 o'clock, they come 12 o'clock. That's another issue that mothers are facing. It's good. Jazakallah khair to you and to IQRA TV for allowing us to come and share our experience. I'm sure end of the program we will come out with this solution with two brothers here and few more to come. The problem we have with youth is wherever we are living, especially where I live in my neighborhood, they don't have anywhere to go. They don't have any platform where they can go and play and share their daily life experience. Before, when I was growing up, there were clubs, there were activities in my neighborhood when I was growing up. But where I live now in my neighborhood, there's none. There's nothing. So what can they do? All you hear parents telling them, Mosidoza, Mosidoza. They go to the mosque, the elders don't like them. Especially with Pakistani and Bangladeshi masjid. You take your son, you take your daughter.
Are you talking about very small kids? You're talking about, I know, more 16, 15 years old. 16,
15 years old, they go, they pray. After the prayer, there's nothing there.
Okay.
So what can they do?
So what's this got to do with people are getting into drugs, people are not finding jobs? What's this got to link up? How do you link them up?
Those who are in drugs are in street. If they come to me and say, I have something for you interesting. Your friend over there is wearing a top clothes. And look at you, man. Look what you're wearing. Within a week, I can change that. Do you think I will not say, please, take me with you and let me do what you want me to do? This is where we are failing.
Brother Jain, you're working with a lot of young people, and you are also funding a lot of youth projects as well. And you've also been going to in other countries like Kuwait and other places. You met with a lot of young people. Why do you think, in some cases, not all cases, young Muslims are finding difficult to identify them as a Muslim? They're shying away. Is that because we are not successful? Also, they find it difficult to break into the mainstream. Why do you think it's the case?
I think I want to touch on 2 points. I think I want to go back to the question you asked Khoirubai first. I think there's 2 ways to look at it. I think the first thing is there's a huge reason we continuously hear about the bad and the negative about Muslim youth or whatever it is. And I think it's safe to say it's the way the media is portrayed. If today you go out and you do 100 good things, maybe one of them will be picked up, but you go do one bad thing, it will definitely be picked up by most of the mainstream national newspapers and outlets. So I think there's a role for us to play. Whichever one of us are on Facebook, I've seen it happen a lot. Whenever good news happens or someone managed to pass their exams or someone does good, we're very unlikely to share it, especially if it's someone of our same status. But then if someone does bad or a youngster does bad, let's share it, let's get this person caught. So I think we have a role there, and there are platforms like Ilmfeed and other places now which are saying to us, start sharing the positive news that Muslims are doing. Because that is one way to counter-attack the stigma and all that stuff around bad negative kind of association that we get on the media. I think the second thing is, Khoirubai is very right. I think whilst there isn't a lot of things for the Muslims to do, I think that's true and untrue at the same time. I think there are things for young people to do, but it's not the right things. For example, in today's age, where a lot of families are being faced with things like bedroom tax, taxes, all this other stuff, children don't want to play on fun fairs and bouncy castles, and they don't want to go to barbecues, right? They want to know how to make money. They want to know how to be enterprising. They want to know how to get a home under their name. They want to know, practical things. But a lot of these youth clubs don't do that. They don't teach them how to think about loans.
We don't have money as well. We don't have money youth club anymore.
We still do. We still have a lot of organizations and charities, but they're not doing the right things. For example, we see a huge amount of charities, especially in the East End. They have tons of programs, but they're not full. And they're not full because they're trying to dish out programs that aren't practical for today's youth. For example, I've got nephews. They want to learn about enterprise. They want to learn about politics. And those aren't things that they're going to be taught in school. Those are things they have to go out into the locality and learn, but it's not there. If they go to a local youth club, they'll be like, turn up this Saturday, you can learn karate, or you can learn about how to have a barbecue and do some fundraising.
Do you see the same patterns in when you go to another country, like in Middle East? Do you see the similar patterns as here, or do you think they're more successful, they're more better in their way of lifestyle?
What, in supporting young people?
Yeah.
I think it's the same.
Same.
I don't think it's to do with how much wealth you have, or it's not to do with where you are in the world. I think it's simply to do with what Khoirubai was saying. If a young person doesn't have many opportunities and they're given something which they will take, and there isn't enough support around them to stop them and push them to the right way, it's going to happen. Doesn't matter. What Khoirubai was saying, let's switch it up and let's move over to, let's say, an Arab country, right? Let's say I have 100 million. But a guy's turn around and said to me, look, I can make you 2 billion in a week. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter. But it's not about the value of money. It's about the opportunities in front of you and the way you're living now.
Dear viewers, you can call us. There is a number there for you. You can join us. You can ask questions. And if you want to get involved, please do call in. Let me go to the medicine guys. What things we're talking about, does it relate to you? Do you think these are the cases, or do you think there are more than that? Why do you think we're finding those difficulties?
So I would agree with what they're saying, mainly because I come from an area like that, living in East London, and there are very few youth clubs. I mean, recently there was a campaign in Tower Hamlets to try and save youth clubs, because there's a lot being closed down at the moment by the current mayor. So it's a bit of an issue there. But what we can say is that as well as students or youngsters getting
maybe
involved,
they're closing it down with other issues. I'm sure they're probably not running it well, maybe not effective. There could be other reasons, not just like he wants to come and take that down.
Perhaps,
that won't be the case.
Yeah, perhaps I was wrong use of words. But I would say it's not just the students or the youngsters that are not you could say getting involved, but I think it's also important that parents that are living here are involved as well, you know, especially if they're from another country or if they're second generation, they've come from back home. It's, you know, if you're living here, you should try and get an idea of the culture that you're in, you know, what your children are going under. And that way you can at least adjust yourself and work towards pushing your kids to something good. Because a lot of the times, for example, my family, when they came here, they didn't know too much about the culture, and they can't really say much in regards to what I get involved in. But as you slowly learn and get involved and get an idea of things, then they can start pushing you in the right directions. So it's a matter of just knowing what services or what things are available for them to get involved in.
Is there any magic injection that just push it in and people just change, man? Can we not make anything like that, no? Not yet.
Maybe some research.
Okay.
A few years' time.
Something different for you. I know our young guys are very talented. You know, I could see, I'll go to Khairul and these guys they are putting a lot of things into the community. You know, there are a lot of things we should be proud of. But I know it's always a negative comes out, like Jane said. There are a few bad ones, but there are plenty good ones too. So how did you get into medicine? Did anyone help you, or just you saw somebody? Is there any role model you followed, or just done it yourself?
I think for me, it's quite interesting because when I look at my life, especially in the last 10 years, I see a lot of change, and I went through like phases. I would say there were huge phases. When I went into secondary school, I went to a boys only school. So
which one do you go to? Maybe some of the pride people might say something.
I went to both boys when it was a boys school. Now it's become mixed. But
you never done, don't you?
So I went to both boys, and back then both boys was known to be quite rough. It wasn't particularly doing that well in GCSEs or anything. And when I went, I pretty much went in, and it's very quickly you get sucked into that lifestyle of wanting to be cool. I think that's especially at that age. Parents need to understand from the age of 11 to 18, your children are going through huge differences in their life. They're under so much pressure from society, from their friends, from mums and dads. Mothers and fathers often forget that sometimes they will say things, and maybe if I have a chance, I'll actually pick up on this point of how I personally believe parents should speak to the children in a certain way. And they brought a certain culture that is actually so negative on their children.
Can you say it? I mean, it would be useful for our parents.
Okay, so probably the best way to talk about it is in terms of examples. So, for example, a son comes in and he's got like 3 A's and 1 B. And sometimes the parents, they look at the A's and they completely disregard it, and they say, son, why did you get that B? They don't even recognize the A's. And I remember when I was in secondary school, we used to have a joke that, you know, the reasons why Asians need to get A's is because we're Asians. So that was like a joke that we used to sort of tell ourselves to get over it. But it's this point that sometimes mothers and fathers, they're not nurturing enough. It's so important to nurture your children. Sometimes, yes, they're doing something wrong, but you look at everything that they're doing correct and you praise them on that. And sometimes the best way to nurture someone is actually via praise. So I remember sometimes what my mum does, like medicine is quite tough. So I've had 2 years of where during exam season I have mental breakdowns, like really bad mental breakdowns. And last year was the toughest year for me in medicine.
So when you say mental breakdown, what happens? You get no hope left, or you think I can't do it, forget it, or
yeah, it's basically
I'm going to go somewhere, do something silly. Is that what you mean? No?
It's not necessarily something silly, but for me, especially, I think alhamdulillah, I take Islam quite seriously, so I wouldn't do anything silly. But when it comes to mental breakdowns, it's like, I don't want to do medicine anymore, I'll stop revising. You go into a few days where you're just not doing anything, and if you actually look at mental health in the Muslim community, it's ridiculously high. Young people actually suffer from mental health, and we have this stigma in our community that he's only 16 years old, like how can you be going through mental health, why should we take him to the hospital, you know, ufri tufri oigase, you know, they always throw that joke, you know, black magic, and then you're like, subhanallah, you know, it's a problem, we should look at it, we should deal with it. So I think the question that you asked, especially to the brothers here, is such a big question. There's so many different facets to it, and the only way you can actually tackle it is by looking at every different facet and actually looking how they link, because there's no such thing as an isolated case. There's always links involved.
Can I ask you two things? One, you say when you go home, when they say something, what inspires you? Like your mom said a word. Pick up a word that makes you wants to do more, and pick up a word that downs you down, well, don't want to do it anymore, forget it, I'm giving up. It would be nice. Something comes in your head.
Alhamdulillah, I think like I personally believe like my parents are the best thing in my life, and they've actually supported me a lot, because there was a point where I didn't want to do medicine. I was like, I don't care. I did very well in my GCSEs, and then when I went to college, I did very badly, very badly in my in one of my exams, or several exams, and I just sort of gave up on life. And even my secondary school teachers, who I stayed in contact with, they were like, "You've changed. You were such a high flyer in secondary school. What happened to you?" And my parents, they were always quite supportive. And it's little things like when my mum and dad say "foot," you know, that one word you don't understand. You say "foot" to your son, or like
I don't know how, what's in Arabic. I'm assuming you speak Arabic.
I can, and Somali, yeah. So
Okay. I don't know what word would that be.
Ya bunaya?
okay.
Something like that.
Yeah, something nice.
I think
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Or ya awlad.
yeah.
Bunay is more.
Yeah, it's more close.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's this endearing language.
Yeah.
You know, there's something I have to
automatically
mention here. You know, we all love our parents actually.
Definitely.
I'm quite old, so when I picked up when Zain father passed away, you know, we make prayer for him and we make dua for him actually. What he done was affected me, was like he's asking his friends to make dua for him. That is something unique. People don't do that. People usually that's a normal way of saying it. You just have to say it. But when you asked for everybody, make dua, come to this, come to that, and I'm doing this for my dad, for Sadqa Zari, and they said, you know, like I picked them, all of them up. I read all of them. I had interest in reading that, and I read your mind actually. I read your mind. That showed me that how close you are with your dad. Honestly, I read your mind. That's why when you asked me to go to your house, I knew I'm going to be only one going there, but I didn't care, because I said I want to go there because you asked me to go. I went there. You said have some food. I went there just to show that part, because you actually, you know, showed something that normal. We don't do it. We don't have. You need a guts to do that.
Yeah.
We don't do that anymore.
This
Youngsters don't do that anymore.
This is another problem we have. I went to visit his dad in the hospital, and we shouldn't talk all negative about our youth. There is huge
no, second
positive.
part will come up positive.
Yeah.
So I'm just
I
saying,
mean,
we need to know the problems,
the
we need to bring the solutions.
The GCSE and the A-level result just came out. Alhamdulillah, the Bangladeshi origin are right at the top.
Alhamdulillah.
So we're not talking about all negative here. But I want to say some of the parents that are in hospital, they're always looking at the door. Amar fuako shoyaibo. Amar fuako shoyaibo. It's so sad. There is some uncles and mothers are in hospital. Their sons or their daughter are not going to see them. You know, when I went to see his dad, I just want to mention him. He's kind of, for his age, to in certain stage what he done, it's amazing. And may Allah grant Jannah to all those left us, and may Allah bless him. And you know, this is what we want. Those are watching at home. Amra orokom bayan sai, who will look after us when we are. Do you know what? One thing I always do, and I always say to my wife is, when I get old, I don't want my son to come and say, "Oh, I'm earning 30,000, 40,000. Do you want some?" No. Well, I want to know that he cares about me. I don't care where he lives. If he's living in Buckingham Palace, I don't want to go and live in Buckingham Palace. Obviously, I want him to stay safe and healthy, but I don't want any share of that. All I want to know that he cares, because when he was young, I cared about him like I cared about my dad, because when I was young, he cared about myself. Going back, one thing before you go into your next question, you know, you were saying 3 A's and B. There was a letter head teacher sent to all the students in Calcutta, saying to the parents just before one day the exam, you know, please, you know, don't get, you know, don't show, you know, angriness, and don't get upset if your son or your daughter don't do well. If your son is doing 4 exams and he is going to be an engineer, he doesn't have to be good in music. And then at the end he goes, not all doctors are accountant have a good life.
Yeah.
We think all our communities are accountant. My son will have to be accountant. Actually, he might not want to be. He might want to be a doctor. This is where we have a problem, because how can I not tell my people, oh, my son or my daughter, you know,
It's amazing.
this is
Yeah,
where we need to
let me get
educate
us,
ourselves.
our viewers involved. সময়ত ভাই বোনেরা আসলে টপিক আজকে হইল যে আমাদের বাচ্চারা আসলে সমাজে হেল্প করতেছে, হিউম্যানিটি হেল্প করতেছে, ইজ ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট। দিস গাইজ আর স্টার। আপনারা বুঝতে পারবেন অবশ্যই when we end of this statement. One thing Enam used it was আমাদের বাচ্চাদের সাথে সম্পর্কটা আসলে বলাইতে হইব। We need to be friends.
Okay.
And you picked it up. It's very true. We all feel like that. Food khuyahal, and it just breaks your subhanallah. It just breaks your heart. You know, just like we might not realize that now. When they're gone, this will kill us. Honestly, just like
Yes.
that word will not. Nobody else going to use
No.
that word anymore.
No.
No one is going to use that word anymore. Food, and you know, it's amazing. So I think our youngsters or us, we need to bring that down. How much we love our parents, the way we see them, and how we need to talk about this a lot more. So our people behind us, the young generation, they can learn from us. I see one thing we do is we don't usually say to our mothers, "I love you." We don't usually say those things anymore. I don't know if you said that before. I don't know. We just like closed community. So what happens is we need to get this thing going again. What can I say to my mom, I love you? What can I say to my sister and brother? Ask the butcher for then you don't hug your big brother or younger brother. Come on, that's not fair, I think. We are known, especially Muslim community, known for the brotherhood, the bonding, and saying things. I love you for this reason. I love you for the sake of Allah. I love you. You know, we need to revise those things. So I'm going to, after the break, inshallah, we'll talk about the positiveness, especially the things that you guys are involved with. You know, how you're serving the humanity we're talking about, and how you guys went that far, and our young generation can lead, you know, take a lead on this one, or that you guys, they can follow you guys, your footstep, inshallah. So my we're just going for a small break, inshallah. We'll be back, and stay with us, and you can call us as well. Jazakumullahu khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.